Okay, folks, welcome to the member stock pick request video. This is where members submit stock symbols that they're watching that they would like my opinion on to see whether or not a stock is a buy, sell, or a hold. Is it a good setup, etc. So I'll annotate the chart. I'll give a little bit of analysis, and then we discuss it on this video. That's one of the benefits of membership. So I held off on doing the video a few days this week, and the reason is because I wanted to see where the market would settle out. And the chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, this is a daily chart, actually a weekly chart, and you can see that we broke down below the lower band of the rising uptrend channel, or this former pennant formation, and we've been hanging on by a thread. 2 weeks in a row of topping action, and the long red candlestick down here was a shot across the bow of longs. So the weekly chart of the Dow Jones is not bullish, it is bearish. And then when you take a look at the daily chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, look at your topping action, topping tail, key reversal on Friday, lower highs, very, very bearish. And why is that important to the member stock pick request? It's because when I render my opinion, I want to know where the major averages are trading. How are they performing? How are they holding up? What is the probability of a stock that is getting ready to break out? What is the probability that that breakout will be a success? And we've seen of late a lot of breakout point failures. And that's what I pointed out to our members, which was a clear indication that this market was topping out. And that's why we did so well last week and the week before in our short positions. So let's start out with our first stock, GORO. We have traded GORO in the past. It's a great trading stock. And you can see that we've pulled back. We booked profits up here. It's since pulled back. We like the stock. There's a very nice short interest in this name, and that will act as a catalyst to the upside, besides the fact that we do believe that there is inflation coming down the pike. Just take a look at your food prices. And, of course, the Federal Reserve omits food prices from their inflation measures. So a good day on Thursday. Key reversal, bottoming tail implies that this support level might hold. Good rally up to $5 per share. The only problem is that you're going to have a whole bunch of prior buyers back here looking to get made whole, get their money back, because this sell-off scared them. So it's going to be a struggle getting through this, but I think the stock does head higher in the coming days. Looking at the volume on Friday, up volume declined. So we might see a pullback, a retest of this low of $4.63, or hopefully you see a pullback and the stock puts in a higher low. Good double bottom setup on Ultimate Oscillator. I don't like the stochastic. I like when it's a smooth loop up. This is like a choppy action below 20. We're probably going to see a pullback on GORO before we get a continuation move higher. No big deal. I think that's going to be an opportunity, though. Next stock up is North American Palladium, PAL. I like the chart. This is a stock that's come back to life due to the fact that you have the Russian crisis, you have Russian-Ukraine crisis, which, believe me, is still in effect. You have 40, 50,000 troops, Russian troops massing on the Ukrainian border right now, and they say it's for war games. It's one heck of a set of war games. And those tanks keep coming by rail. So the problems over in the Ukraine and Russia, between the Ukraine and Russia, are not over. That'll bode well for the prices of palladium. We are trading against the lower band of the rising uptrend channel. I like it. I think that this is a good opportunity to get into the stock. PAL is a buy. Good double bottom setup on Williams percentage R. Higher low on Stoke RSI. Ultimate Oscillator. Draw your trend line up, making higher lows. Bullish chart. Next stock up is QTWW. This is another one. We traded this one multiple times. I have videos showing how we traded this on recent trades. I haven't done one in a while. I have a lot of catching up to do. So go out, check recent trades, QTWW, and it'll walk you through how we traded this stock in the past. I always watch it. I think that there's a good future for this company. Natural gas play, good double bottom setup at the 50 level on RSI. Nice triangle formation setting up, and good double bottom setup at $8.95. That's where you put your stop loss. Look for a breakout above the upper band of the declining downtrend channel, and then it will become a long, good volume on Friday to the upside. This is one where you can even probably nibble on Monday. Next stock up is SunCoke Energy, SXC. This is from fellow member Larry. The stock's obviously in an uptrend, but it also has resistance right at 23. Let's just round to 23.50. There are sellers up here. I would be a buyer on spec on a pullback and a successful retest of the lower band of the rising uptrend channel. I think what we're doing here is we're absorbing these gains, this big breakout move, this reversal move, and it's just consolidating. So I would wait for that pullback, retest the lower band, watch for some bottoming tails, which implies that there are buyers out there. Look for a double bottom setup here on Stoke RSI, and then you can begin to nibble with a stop loss just below the lower band of the rising uptrend channel. Keep your losses small, and then you add to that position on a breakout above resistance, ideally accompanied by rising up volume. Next stock up is for, actually two members wanted this one. This is for Chris and JT. CPRX, Catalyst Pharmaceuticals Partners. I like this stock. The pharma names have been beaten like baby seals of late, yet CPRX has held up fairly well. That's relative strength. You can't ignore that. There's a lot to be said. So it broke out of this pennant formation. It came back down, retested the upper band of what was resistance, is now support, consolidating. Get ready for a breakout. You do have some resistance at $2.50. I don't think it's massive resistance. You get a close above that level. You can add to your position. I like the ultimate oscillator. I think it's going to head higher. We are holding Stoke RSI at the 0.5 level. Look for a pullback, hopefully a double bottom setup, and then a breakout above that level. So CPRX is looking good. Good call, gentlemen. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. In fact, I may discuss this trade on the week ahead commentary, which will be going out to members only today. So keep an eye out for CPRX, a little bit further analysis. Next stock up is TGTX, TG Therapeutics. Again, this is from fellow member JT. It's in a triangle formation. I don't like Friday's price action. Thursday's price action was very, very bullish. What the bulls were telling you is that they will defend, say, $6.25 on TGTX. You get a close below that level, you got to get out. So if we consolidate and hold here, I would be a buyer. And I would also be a buyer and or add to my current position on a breakout and a close below $6.75. Down volume was light, which is good. That's a sign that there was no institutional selling on Friday. Possible double bottom setup on RSI. I do not like the fact it's trading below 50, nor do I like the fact that both Stokes are trading below 50 as well. So it's in a consolidation. Price action trumps oscillators. Keep an eye on the price action and the volume action. Next stock up is for fellow members Kate and Peter. This is 3D Systems. This is a weekly chart. I've been watching this name myself. It's been holding the 55.26 level. This is key support here. So I'm not going to be a bit surprised to see a rally going into next week. But before we decide to make that trade, a long trade on 3D Systems, we want to take a look at the daily chart and potentially the intraday chart. I'll go over that in the weekend commentary for members, because what we want to pay attention to are the moving averages. How are the moving averages setting up? And I do have my concerns on the daily chart. I'll discuss them. And we'll have to discuss an entry strategy and an exit strategy at the same time. So 3D Systems weekly chart, it looks like the end is near for this correction. However, we want to take a look at the daily charts before we draw any conclusions on which way we want to head on 3D Systems. Again, I'll be going over that today with members. Next stock up is for fellow member Peter. This is a weed stock, hemp, HEMP, the symbol. We are in a pennant formation. We are at critical support. You close down below 10 cents per share, we're going down to 8 cents. Critical support. I cannot emphasize it enough. We get a breakout above the upper band of the declining downtrend channel. It's a buy. Stokes is still in a steep decline. So I'm not saying to sell your position right now. However, I would make certain I am paying attention to how the stock closes at the end of the day. Because if it closes below 10 cents per share, warning flags are on the track. So please be careful. So I'm not a lover of hemp. I wouldn't, if you want to open up a position right now, you're thinking about opening up a speculative trade, sure, why not? Just use that stop loss order, stick with it, keep your losses small, and don't buy all your shares at one time. Accumulate a position. This is a show me stock. The stock must show us that A, it's got enough fans or buyers or longs, whatever you want to call them, that will be in there to defend 10 cents per share. You also need to keep an eye on whether or not you have enough technicians in this stock watching it to see whether or not it'll close above the declining downtrend line and whether or not they'll decide to jump on board on a closing basis above this level. And we probably will have those people out there watching the charts. These stocks are in favor. You can't ignore it. So hemp is a speculative long right now. I would not short the stock unless, of course, well, I don't know if you can really short this one. It would be difficult to short. But if you can get the shares to short, you do so on a closing basis below 10 cents per share. AVEO. This is for fellow member Chris. AVEO Pharmaceuticals. The pharma stocks are getting killed lately, and this stock is no exception. However, the one bright spot on AVEO is the fact that we are trading at the lower band of a trading range. Now, I am not a believer in triple bottoms. I am not a believer in them. Normally, when I see a stock come down and put in what looks to be a triple bottom or a triple top, more than likely the stock continues down or up, and you don't find support 3 times in a row. Normally, you get a double bottom, and then you get a breakout. It failed to break out. It put in a lower high. That's a sign of weakness. The prior high was $2.03. That's your pivot point. It rallied up to $1.96, failed, and rolled over. So that's the big picture on this one, Chris. I don't want to poo-poo it on you. I'm not saying to sell it if you're long of it. However, this is critical support on a closing basis just below 153. I would like the stock on a closing basis above the declining downtrend line. Note your down volume. It rose on Friday, besides the fact it put in a key reversal. So I am not a lover of AVEO. Next stock up is Mack, Merrimack Pharmaceuticals. We watched this one a few weeks ago. And Chris, this is for fellow member Chris. He probably brought it to my attention. Mack was looking good a few weeks ago. And another pharmaceutical stock. I'm very, very wary of pharmaceutical stocks. I have no problem saying that I've taken my biggest losses in trading on biotech stocks. Anybody who says they haven't taken a loss in this business is an absolute liar. So pharmaceutical stocks, they're one-hit wonders, a lot of them. And when they go down hard. Now, I don't know about the fundamentals of any of these pharma names that I'm discussing right now. I just make the assumption when I look at them that they're one-hit wonders. I could be 1,000% wrong. So I'm not trying to defend a position of naivete. Believe me, I'm just looking at the charts. And what are the charts telling me right now? We put in a lower high. And members will tell you, if you're not currently a member and you're watching this, members will tell you, I hate lower highs unless I'm short of a stock. So here's a stock that pulled back, found support at its 200-day moving average, which is a bullish sign, rallied off of it, consolidated, broke out, and threatened to take out prior highs, but it didn't. It failed. It put in a lower high. $5.99 was the most recent high versus a prior high of $6.46. That's not a bullish sign. Now, if we break down below $4.51, the stock is in a brand new downtrend and it is a short. I would not short the stock right now. I would not buy the stock right now. I would look for a pullback to the support level to show that we have support by longs, preferably institutional longs, not mom and pop coming in to buy 100 shares of a $5 stock. So, if anything, Mack is a watch right now. I don't like the topping action. $5.50 is resistance. I would be a watcher of Mack and look forward to come back down, retest support, and let's see if it holds. And we may just be a buyer of it for all we know. All depends upon, I may not like it today. I may love it this time next week. Another marijuana stock. This is for fellow member Fernando. MJNA, medical marijuana. Okay, we closed below a support level on Friday. My guess is that we're going to come back down and test either 25 or 24 cents per share. Ideally, 24 cents. Why? It's because it's more of a stable support level. Down volume dropped off on Friday, which is good. Ultimate oscillators in a clear downtrend. You have a little bit of a bottoming tail on Friday. I would look to see how it trades on Monday. Ideally, again, it pulls back to 24 cents, flashes a key reversal, and you can get long of the name Fernando. But right now, I would just sit by and watch what it does. Sometimes that's the best course of action. Next stock up for Fernando is FST, Forest Oil Corp. I like this one. And I'm just going to discuss this one a little bit more detail on the week ahead commentary. It's a nice stock. It's been beaten like a baby seal. Bottomed out at 168. Now it finds itself in a small uptrend channel. This is so a show me stock. I can't tell you. So I'm going to go into greater detail on this. Fernando, I'll leave off with this. This is more for members, so I'm going to go over it on the weekend commentary. It's a show me stock that I'm happy with, I'm bullish with, and we'll talk about it more later on the weekend commentary. Note the RSI is an uptrend. I like it. We'll also go over what the catalyst might be for the stock to break out. Next stock up is for fellow member Bruce. I'm starting off this analysis, Bruce, with a 30-minute chart because the daily chart is not pretty. The 30-minute chart is a bit better. You're in an intraday uptrend. We managed in the final 30 minutes of trade on Friday to break out above the declining downtrend line. So I think you might see a pop higher on Monday. So I like it for a day trade. However, longer term, let's take a look at a daily chart. I hate neutral days like this. Yes, it closed up on the day, but it gave up a lot of those gains. It found support at 1.2. I think inevitably we're going to come back down. We're either A, going to retest the prior lows, or we're going to pull back and we are going to put in a higher low. And either way, it's a good thing. The stock has been beaten badly. It needs to pull back. And once it puts in a higher low or it successfully retests this low at $1.08, then you're going to see a lot of technicians move into the name. Look at exactly what we're looking at is a stock that's beginning to bottom out, and they will slowly but surely begin to accumulate. And that sets the stage for a new rally in the name. So Wet Seal right now, it's a watch. Longer term, Shorter term, you may still get a pop out of this for a day trade, but this is one that we may want to revisit and watch in the coming weeks. Next stock up for Bruce is ARO, Aeropostale. These retailers have not been doing good. It bottomed out at $4.73. I like this stock. Ultimate Oscillator is in an uptrend. Looks like you have a little cup with handle formation going on here. We're now flagging out on the candlesticks. You want to look for your breakout, and especially a breakout in the close above $5.11. So I like Aeropostale as a long. I would not short the name. And this is a 30-minute chart, folks. 30-minute chart, intraday chart, not a daily chart. I forgot to mention that. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart, you have a great bottoming tail of $4.73. Now, on Friday, what you saw was an attempted breakout and close above $5 per share. It failed. So you have a topping tail. So just be aware of that. We may, on a 30-minute chart, break out and rally on Monday and maybe even into Tuesday. That doesn't mean it's going to hold. It may pull back, come back down, retest this resistance line here in blue, and then perhaps consolidate and rally, and that'll set the stage for a longer run on a daily chart. However, right now is not the time to load up on ARO. Scratch that. However, right now is not the time to load up on ARO and to wait it out. I would definitely wait for the stock to put in some bottoming action, preferably a double bottom setup, consolidate, and then get long of the stock as it begins to show some strength. Wet seal we've already gone over. Okay, next stock up is for fellow member Victor. ALJ is the symbol, Alon USA Energy. Now, I have my concerns with the stock. You had a nice rally here from 1452. This is a 30-minute chart. And it rallied up to 1489 and pulled back, and it took out that low at 1452. So it kind of negates this double bottom setup at 1453 and then 1452. Now we need to come back down lower to probably 1440, 1435 on an intraday basis. And we'll pull out to a daily chart in a moment. Note the rising down volume into the close. Daily chart, I'm not liking it too much. Note how the price sliced right through the 50-day moving average like a hot knife through butter. Did not defend it at all. There was no defense, and that's a natural defense line. And then 2 days in a row, we rallied to try and recapture that 50-day moving average and failed. The path of least resistance on ALJ is down. I would avoid it, and quite possibly could be a short. I would avoid it. Down volume is fairly light. Stokes are bad, both trading below 50. Yeah, this is a weekly chart. Draw your trend line down. We found resistance at the upper band of the declining downtrend channel. We're probably going to come back down eventually to $12.92. We break down below that level, we're going down to 1150. You're going to see an 11 handle on this stock before all is said and done. So I would avoid this stock, Victor. Next stock up is Frontier Communications. This is a weekly chart. Why am I using a weekly chart? It's because I want to see, because the stock is performing well, I want to see where the sellers are, potential sellers are, and they're back here. Those buyers who bought back in fall of 2011 and back in 2010, those people want to get made whole. They want their money back. They've been through hell. And believe me, a lot of these people that bought back here held through this hellish nightmare, and they'll sell the first minute they see their statement go green. So trust me, you got to be careful buying a stock like this when it's coming into resistance. I wouldn't necessarily sell it. If you have big profits, I would probably book some profits and watch for the stock to possibly pull back down to retest the upper band of the rising uptrend channel. But I think you're going to see some resistance fairly soon on this name. And you can already see it on the daily chart, topping action, took a spinning top. I would not add to this trade right now. If anything, I would start scaling out. Book some profits if you have profits. If you just opened up the trade, all right, I may not sell the stock, but I would not add to it until you get a pullback to a good support level. And $5.30 looks good to $5.35. That looks like a good support level. Even $5.40. Wait till it gets down there. But this stock is going to be due a rest in fairly short order. Next stock up is for fellow member Rich. He's looking for a safe entry point. JNUG. Direxion Daily Junior Gold Miners Index. First time I've ever heard of this. Interesting. All right. So it's a gold mining ETF to the long side. It broke out of a downtrend. This is a daily chart. It did so on Friday. You did have a topping tail. However, more importantly is that it closed above this prior resistance level, which now should act as support. I would be a buyer. A good entry point would be on a pullback to retest this lower band. And if you see some support at this lower band that does not break down into this, back down into this triangle formation, or if it does not close down below 1921, you can buy the stock. I would not jump in with both feet. These gold mining names are highly shorted and they're highly volatile. So do not jump in with both feet. You nibble. So I would be a buyer on a close above $22 per share. We closed at $21.81. We were above 22, couldn't hold it. That's the markets telling you that there are sellers back here that want their money back. So I would wait until we got a close above $22 per share, or we successfully pull back. You see some bottoming tails along the now support level, prior resistance level, or you get a pullback to 1921 and it holds there with bottoming tails. What's a bottoming tail? A little bottoming tail, a little wick in the bottom of the candlestick, like here. And you can see what happens. Stocks normally pop higher when you get those bottoming tails, because what do they imply? As a matter of fact, you had one here on Thursday, and what happened the following day? Pop. What does that imply? It implies that there are buyers below willing to support the stock. It's the market sending you a signal. Utilize it. Now, the stochastics are setting up nicely on JNUJ. You have a head and shoulders setting up. Left shoulder, head, right here. Right shoulder, not quite mature yet, but getting there. Nice little double bottom setup on the RSI. I like JNUJ. So this is one that I would entertain as a long. And Rich, if you have any other questions on it, if I wasn't clear enough, send me an email, title it, follow up on JNUJ, and I'll get back to you ASAP. Next stock up is for fellow member Dale. Sirius, SIRI. Last I heard, these guys were getting bought out. I haven't heard much about them of late. I haven't checked the news. So all I'm talking about right now is the chart. We are at critical support. $3.09 to $3.04 is critical support. I do not like the topping action and the reversal on Friday. That concerns me because that tells us that this is stiff resistance. So I would not be a buyer of SIRI until we get a pullback in support at $3.09 to $3.04 per share. Double top on ADX, which is good. Money flow is beginning to improve. However, I do not like the price action, and I know for a fact the float out there is huge. There are a lot of shares out there, which is why the stock, has stayed in this range for a long time. This is a monthly chart, and we're rolling over. I would avoid SIRI, Dale. I think you have a better entry point at a lower level. Next stock up is for fellow member Chad, ELON. All right, so the story with ELON is that we are in a pennant formation, one that's maturing a bit. Thursday's price action, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous key reversal. However, Friday's price action, bearish. It told us that $3 per share is going to be resistance, and what confirms that resistance level is the price action back in February. So I would be a buyer of ELON on a pullback to $2.78 with a stop loss just below $2.73 on a closing basis. What we're doing is we're digesting this gain here. This big breakout is being digested. And my guess is, without having seen the weekly, let's go to a monthly chart. I haven't looked at it yet. Yep. You have a lot of resistance, a lot of buyers looking to get their money back. And that's what happens here. Finally, after all of these months, this is a monthly chart going back to 1999. These people have been holding on. They're just dying to get their money back. First sign of life out of this stock in 2 years, they're selling. They want some of their money back. So it's going to be a tough road for this one. Fundamentals may be good. We're probably going to head higher. But my guess is that we're probably going to see lower lows first, down to this support level, a retest. That's your entry point. And again, if we close back down below that level, you got to get out of the way. You got to stop out. So ELON I like, but only on a pullback to 278. Or if we rally to close above the upper band of the declining downtrend channel, the stock is a show-me stock, pure and simple. One thing I did notice on RSI is that we broke down below the lower band, and that is not a bullish sign at all. So it puts into question whether or not we're going to hold the support level, because RSI is telling us it may not. It's not conclusive by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a clue. And the clues are important to us. We take those clues, we keep them on the back burner, and it may amount to nothing, or it may amount to an observation that may, in fact, save us a lot of money in the future. ELON. Next stock up for Chad is AMCF. I've never heard of this one before. Entity China Marine Fuel Services Corp. NASDAQ stock. Obviously in an uptrend. Much like ELON, it's digesting a breakout. Here was your consolidation range right here. We broke out. All these guys back here, they want their money back. So we've been digesting these gains. Now, we're trading near the lower band of the rising uptrend channel. The question is, do we hold? So I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it. I would be a buyer on a pullback and a retest of the lower band of the rising uptrend channel, or a breakout and a close above the upper band, and preferably a close above what you see here in red, which is the 200-week moving average, folks. I didn't mention that. This is a weekly chart. I apologize. So I would like to see a breakout and a close above the 200-day moving average. Stokes remain in an uptrend. I don't like the fact that they're rolling over, but these are volatile Stokes. We're very overbought on the ADX line. A level above 55 is considered to be overbought on ADX, and we have a double top going on the ADX as well in green. So I would be cautious. In fact, I'm so curious. Note the great institutional accumulation here. Very, very good accumulation on a weekly chart. But I want to take a look at the daily chart because I'm concerned about the ADX line. And it may be nothing, but let's investigate a bit further. All right, daily chart, what I like seeing here is that we're finding support at the 50 level. That's bullish. Whenever you see a double bottom setup or support and a breakout on a stock off the 50 level, you got to pay attention. If you short that stock, you're nuts. So we've had our pullback off this topping action. Pullback support here. I don't like Friday's price action, topping tail. I think that we could pull back a bit further. I think that what this was is a reprieve from the selling and that we may see some selling continue. If not, we'll probably see a consolidation of bouncing around at this price level. And then if it begins to show some strength and these Stokes begin to loop up and stabilize like they did here, then you might consider a long. But right now, I'd say it's a watch. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't short it. It's a watch. I would pay more attention to the weekly chart. I would look for support against the lower band of the rising uptrend channel. That's a better, safer risk to reward entry point. And don't forget, somebody out there institutionally likes this name because they've been buying it since September, October of 13 and into 14. So there is some institutional demand that can't be ignored. Next stock up is BIDU, BIDU. Fifth most visited website on the internet. Can't be ignored as a stock to add as an investment. I don't like the fact that it's a China stock. That's the only reason why I haven't done so. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We're looking at a stock that has very, very strong support at, say, 141.50. That's the average, right along here. I drew a very liberal support level here. Ideally, I would like to see it come back to around 141.50. So they put in a nice bottoming tail, retested that support level. It held its 200-day moving average. And it tried to rally on Friday, but that rally failed with a key reversal. I don't think that that's totally a bad thing. I think that we'll probably continue to break out, assuming that the market holds up. The slow Stokes are looping up. So when would I buy the stock? I would buy the stock either on a close, on a breakout above the declining downtrend line, or on a pullback to this support level. And then I would begin to nibble. Let's take a look at the intraday chart. Intraday chart is looking okay. Looks like it may want to hold on to, say, 150 to 151, and we might see a breakout on the name. Draw a trend line down here. In fact, let's do that. Since we're swing traders, I don't use 5-minute charts. I use 30-minute, hour charts to give me a better view of the markets. Okay, so here we have our final product, 30-minute chart, annotated. If we hold support here, let's say 150, let's round it down. If we hold support here, you may want to nibble after the first hour of trade, or if we break out above 154. If you're doing shorter term trading. Now, if you're not, I would pay more attention to the daily chart if you're looking to swing trade the stock, I would look for that close above 155 or a pullback to this support level in blue. And that was for Hattie. And the next stock up is for Hattie. All right, the last stock up is for Hattie. Hattie wanted BIDU and SPF. Standard Pacific. This is a weekly chart. I like the chart. Great double bottom setup here on a weekly basis. Good rally. And we found some resistance. So I like the support level. If we hold here, you can nibble it on it at, say, $8 per share. And I would finish my buying on a breakout above $9.20 because I think the stock can go a lot higher with this type of a setup. But this is really a longer-term view, a multi-week to a multi-month view. Let's drill down to a daily chart really quick because I do like the weekly chart. The daily chart is not impressing me, Hattie, at all. Here's my concern, is that we put in a high of $9.20, pulled back, put in a lower high, $9.19, and fell apart. Could it be a reaction to the overall action in the stock market? Perhaps, but you want to look for a stock that's showing relative strength versus the Russell 2000 or the S&P 500. This is not one that's doing that. So it's pulled back hard. You had 2 days of shorts covering, and you have resistance at $8.30. I would look for a pullback and a retest of $7.95. You get that pullback, then perhaps you can get long of the stock. Up volume declined on Friday versus Thursday. That's not bullish. Possible double bottom on ultimate oscillator, which is bullish. It's a show me stock. Let it pull back. I would not chase this stock. Let it pull back to $7.95. If it holds, you can be a buyer of it. I would use a stop loss just below $7.91. If it breaks down below that level, it's going down to the low sevens. So you got to stand by your stop. So definitely do not chase it. And I never like the fact that the stock is a declining 50-day moving average. That does not impress me at all. Okay, last stock up is for fellow member Glenn. The stock is Facebook, symbol FB, as if we all didn't know that. We're all familiar with this name. We did quite well in 2013 on Facebook. We booked over 100% profit when nobody else wanted it. We did quite well. Now, Glenn had asked me a while ago about whether or not I liked Facebook, and my concern at that point in time was that we had an ultimate oscillator, which you see overlaid here in a line chart, which was diverging. We had peaked out at the 5160 to 5483 level. We put in a lower high on the ultimate oscillator, and there began our divergence. And as the stock pulled back, and probably did so along with the ultimate oscillator, the problem is that as the price action began its breakout, the ultimate oscillator did not confirm. It didn't join in on the party. And I warned of that, and sure enough, the stock began to roll over. So I'm hoping that, Glenn, what you're looking for is an entry point, and that perhaps you were sitting in cash, or that you were short this way down. Okay, now let's take a look at a daily chart of Facebook. And you can see that we cut right through the lower band of the rising uptrend channel like a hot knife through butter, which is not a good sign. That was last Wednesday. However, on Thursday, we pulled back, partially filling the gap seen in January. Good bottoming tail. Can't argue that you do have some buyers down here. The volume on that day was very, very good. Over 100 million shares traded. That's not mom and pop buying 100 shares. That's institutional accumulation. So what I would like to see on Facebook is a pullback and a double bottom retest of 57.98. I think that's a good entry point. If we get a close below that level, I would look to stop out. I like Facebook as a company. I like the story. I think it's evolving. I don't think the youngsters are using it. I can't believe you just used the word youngster. I don't think the youngsters are using it as much as adults, and they are adapting to the younger crowd. So I think that it's good management, smart management, and I think it's a good product. So look for a pullback to the 57.98 level. I think that's a good opportunity to get long at a safe risk to reward entry point. If it doesn't get back down there, no big deal. Because if it's not pulling back to retest the support level, that means showing strength. And if we close above the prior lower band of the rising uptrend channel, then that's where we could begin to open up a position as well with a stop loss just below that lower band. MACD is becoming mature. You can see how the histogram is beginning to level off some. So Facebook, although I am no raging bull on the stock, I do see opportunity here in the coming days. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we may just be buyers of it ourselves. It's definitely not a short at this point in time. So I would not be looking to short the stock. That opportunity is come and gone. And that's it, folks. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're not currently a member, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to take a look at our trading lessons, how we trade here at the Contrarian Trader, enter your email address on the website. You will not be spammed. I hate spam too. If you want to get notified of when I send out my trade reviews, post-trade reviews, just enter your email address and I'll get them out to you. I also send out the best stock picks each week. Those go out to our email subscribers. You don't need to be a member to get that. Members do get our trade alerts and the premium commentary on the markets, plus the member stock pick request, which is very, very popular, and Trade Coach. What's Trade Coach? You need direction on how to trade a stock. You need a second opinion on the stock that you're watching that perhaps I'm not. Shoot me an email. Let's discuss it. We'll go over it. No, and that's part of your membership. And that's it, folks. Enjoy the remainder of your Sunday. Have a profitable trading week, and I will talk to you soon. Be well.